All right, welcome everybody, and good day. This is episode 2 of A Bag of Tricks, of course. I am Baggins here, the Bag, and we do have the Tricks. How's it going, Mr. Tricks?
Hey, how's it going, boys? My name is Trick, and I'm trying to figure it out. I don't know why freaking Discord put all these lines right here on the background of me, but it's okay. We'll figure it out.
Yeah,
but hey, yes.
Yeah.
Episode 2.
Yeah, episode 2, man. People seem to enjoy episode 1. So if anybody is like for the first time in either stream or like you're somehow on YouTube, you're here and you don't know what's going on, A Bag of Tricks is a podcast where me and Trick talk about New World, primarily New World. I mean, at some point, maybe we'll talk about some other stuff as well. But right now, we both love New World. We spend a lot of time playing the game every day and consuming content, and putting content out and just thinking about the game. So yeah, I think we both have... You know, like you go a lot on the PvP side of things, but you've also been dabbling in some PvE as well. I know, Trick, you've been doing your M10s and getting all the quests. And Trick is like, technically, you're the better PvEer than me, man, because you got all your quests done on the map, right? And I'm still like in the process of like completing my quests on the map. So yeah, I think you're winning on the PvE aspects.
You want me to be honest with you, Baggins?
Yeah, come on.
That
has
to be one of the most. Well, it has to be one of the most enjoyable content I've done in a long time.
What? Just doing all the quests?
Just doing all the quests. I wish I had more quests. Like I looked at your map and I was like, wow, that looks so good. Like I wish I had all those quests to do it again. I had a good time.
Did you
man.
Stop and like read the quest text, or did you skip through the quest
did.
text? Oh my god,
no,
dude, that must
man,
have taken so long.
You did.
Oh man.
It took over a week. But it was enjoyable. You get to learn a lot of, little things that the developers actually try to add into the game, or not like add into the game, but a lot of people was like, there's no storyline. There sort of is.
Yeah.
You just need to, yeah.
You're gonna learn a few things as well. People were saying like in Brimstone, there's like some notes and stuff that suggest there's gonna be like dragons or something. So yeah, that'd be cool. I don't know. I like the idea of a dragon in New World.
The worm. The only thing. Hey, listen. I read all those quests as well, right? They are calling the big sandworm a dragon.
Okay, maybe that's what's going on then.
Yeah, that is their consideration. Their definition of a dragon. Is the big old sandworm.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if I could call that. I feel like a dragon, at least they have to have like wings, right? It's gonna be able to fly, but that thing doesn't have any wings. So.
Well, it does. I mean.
Yeah,
right?
It flies for a little bit, but that's so like a fish can do that when it comes out of water as well. So it's like we're getting.
Well, Magikarp is a dragon.
Yeah, I guess so. Dragon type, right?
Oh.
So
anyway,
to bring things back in, episode 1, if you guys missed it, we'll link it in the description down below. Also, !podcast in the chat. We talked about New World in 2022, New World in 2023. We talked about the roadmap and mounts and lots of juicy stuff. Sadly, since then, there hasn't really been like a whole lot going on, Trick. But we do have the topic today to talk about leaderboards. And
right.
You were saying like... effectively like they have these metrics for like telling how well somebody's gonna do, right? But the problem is like it's just based on like I can see what they're trying to do, right? It's just based on one game. Otherwise you would just queue like the guy who queues like Outpost Rush and 3v3 Arena like day in day out would make it to the top of the scoreboard. So the idea instead that it's based on your best possible match, like I get what they're trying to do, right? But it's obviously, as we've seen firsthand, there is definitely a way to like exploit and get around that. But like,
yeah, 100.
What's the solution though, man? Like I don't know. How do they? What's the middle ground? I don't know what to.
So I was thinking about it. I was like, okay, so the system that they added now, they made it like the highest score is the one that is the best one, right? And it's not just that. All right, so they added the leaderboards and they have a bunch of categories, like I was saying, but only one of those is the one that gives you the reward, correct?
Yeah.
And the reward one is the one that they need to is the main one, right? Because the other one, yeah, people want to do them, but they don't really care as much as the one that gives you the reward. And the one for the reward for OPR and Wars is the highest score.
Yeah.
For War it's like okay, but at the same time, a tank will never be in the top. You know, and your bruisers, it's very hard for a bruiser to be on the top if there's like a mage or like a musketeer in the match. And let's jump into an OPR, right? In OPR, if like you saw me, right? You can grab a couple of friends, go into the back and just farm damage for 30 minutes. And now all of a sudden you're the best PvPer in the world. So Yeah, so that's one thing, right? And then people will be like, well, how do you fix that? And then the immediate answer for a lot of people will be, well, remove it from score and put it on wins and losses. And then a lot of people were like, okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. But that also takes away from the person that can only play a couple of hours a day. Because let's say that we have a very skilled player that is definitely the best one at what he does, but he can only play 4 hours a day. And he can probably win about 5 or 6 OPR in that time. But then you have Billy that is horrible at the game, and Billy plays 25 OPRs a day, and he wins like 15 of them, and Billy has no life, so all he do is OPR. And now Leaderboards like, oh, look how good Billy is. And then people is like, I wonder what build Billy's using. No, Billy just doesn't have any hands. He just plays the game a lot. So it goes from being like a leaderboard to like a grind board.
Yeah.
So it's so weird and hard, because I was thinking, I was like, wait, what if they do like the leaderboard applies to everybody, but the one that gives you the reward, at least add a rank system to it. But then at the same time, we don't have a rank system. A rank system wouldn't work very well with just one server. I feel like we need more servers to come into the equation, like the cross server thing, right? So we can have, and again, I don't, man, given the rewards for just doing this thing, it kind of takes the effort that some people put into getting these rewards, right? Because if you put like rank 3v3s and then whoever is best, they do get a skin, that feels very rewarding. But if you do the same thing for like OPR score, like that kind of takes away the effort that people put in the other type of events, right?
Yeah, score is like such a metric that, like, you know, only like a couple of handful of builds, like they get the score, and then like a lot of other people don't really get a shot at it. So it's kind of, you know, but I'm thinking about it like what, like in PvE with like, at least with mutations, you know, the fastest run and the highest score, like they seem like legitimate categories. Like I feel like that's okay to compete in. So honestly, what I'm thinking here, Trick, is just take PvP out of the leaderboards, you know, because PvP's already got too much content anyway. So we just, you know, get rid of it. No, like it's I think that's where the problem lies, though. It's just like the score metrics. So I mean, I don't think it's necessarily that bad to reward. Like in a lot of other aspects, New World does reward you for putting time into the game, and indeed like just MMOs do in general. So I think it would be at least a better step to take the win-loss ratio over the score, because I think that's more it's like fairer than the score thing. But you still are gonna have the problem of like, yeah, somebody who has like just a massive amount of hours that they can put into the game is probably going to be able to farm. Well, I don't know. Then maybe they'll be able to farm a better win-loss ratio.
Plus, and the other thing is the way that they give you points in the OPR. So I did the math, right? For every 1,000 damage that you do, you get for every 100 damage that you do, you get 1 point. But for healing, it's completely different. For healing is every 1,000 healing, you get 1 point.
Hell yeah, dude.
So now it will force the healers to basically change their whole build to like the maximum stat pattern AoE healer possible that it can be, right?
Yeah.
And they go into the middle of the freaking soul, and they're like, your team is losing. It's like, I don't care. I'm sending heals in there. It's like, everybody's dead. Fine. I'll just wait until they revive and keep healing them. So it doesn't create, you know, it doesn't make people play better.
Yeah,
that is the thing, right?
They just play for like the score, you know. They don't want to play to win. They just want to play to get the high score.
Exactly. And they don't care. They don't. And we trying to get that, because the OPR is already too filled with people that don't care. Because right now is one team gets freaking overrun, and then the other team takes it, and then you gotta pray that you're in the team that overrun the people, right? And the people that are getting destroyed, they immediately lose interest. Why? Because the main reward of OPR is the box. And if both losing and winning team get the same exact box, which is the 90% of the reason why people do OPR, what is the purpose of even trying? You know, if your team is getting destroyed, no, just wait until the match ends in 5 minutes instead of wasting 20-30 minutes on this, if we're gonna get the reward nonetheless. So that already puts a lot of I don't care if we win or lose aspect into the OPR.
Yeah.
And now we put in this point system where it's more of an individual thing that rather than a teamwork. So that is also a big no. So the lesser of the two evil will be putting it on win bosses. That way, if you want to at least be on the top of the leaderboard, you need to try to at least win as a team.
Yeah. Daedric says, hence just give skins to everybody who participates within a threshold. The rest of the leaderboards is EPing. I don't know. For me, I feel like if leaderboards are gonna work, then you have to have like the carrot on the stick. If you want the leaderboards to be cool, then the skin has to be like otherwise, like just being on the leaderboard, I'm sure that's like a good enough for some people, but I think it's still like the skin and the title is important. We both agree on that, right, Trick? Like that's the cool thing that you want to go for, and if they just give it to everybody, it doesn't like feel as special. It
defeats the purpose of even having a leaderboard and trying to be the best at it.
Yeah, so they have to keep that, and they have to, I think like really the best solution is probably to have like some sort of ranked or like MMR like multi-system, but we probably like acknowledge that can't really happen until we have enough players to like put in the pool to compete with each other. So therefore that can't happen until cross server. So really it feels like leaderboards from like a PvP standpoint need to also be coming in at the same time like cross server queues are coming in. But as far as I can tell, they want to bring them in February. I don't know, man. I think it's going to be a bit of a meme if it goes forward with the way it is right now. But I think the only like immediate solution I could see is make it based off win-loss ratio rather than score at least, because score is such a metric. It's just, man. I remember back in the day. This was like a while ago now, like end of 2021, beginning of 2022. We had so many scoreboard Andes in the war who were just like, yeah, dude, I don't care. I just got a high score. I'm like, they're not playing to win, man. They just want to get the big number. And then the 100%. Amazon's like, yes, that's what you should do. Here's a skin. Well done, Billy.
well done. No, so the thing is, some classes are designed to do damage and damage only, and if you're not doing damage, like what are you doing? Like if you're playing Fire Mage in War, which is extremely rare, like what are you supposed to do? All you can do is just do damage, but the damage is being rewarded a lot by these points. So another thing they can do, if they're gonna put it for score, then they need to reward the whole scoring system, where they make receiving damage also give you points. So tanks on point and bruisers, they get not only points from doing damage, but they also get points from receiving damage. The points from being on top of the flags, capturing soul and moon and stuff like that, should also give you more point. Or they can make it where inside of the actual points, or like at least around it, you get more points than in the outer world. That way, if you have 5 people very far in the battleground just farming damage, they get significantly less points than the people around the actual objective, right?
So there would be like a multiplier almost, is what you're saying.
Exactly, then. Like a multiplier. Like on the outside of the points, it gives you X amount of points. That way, a musketeer will not always be the first one, because a musketeer can sit in a rock and literally just left click for the entirety of 30 minutes and they finish number 1 very, very, very easily, right? But if you have a musketeer sitting in a rock doing damage all the time, then that guy probably doesn't get as much score. I mean, there's a couple of ways that we can combat this. It's kind of weird, man. But for example, leaderboard, what are we trying to get out of here? Like, leaderboard should be like the best of each category.
Yeah.
But we need to have, I think leaderboards and rank system, they go hand in hand. Leaderboard without rank system, we're not basically measuring anything. We're measuring who plays the most, really. So what we can do is have 2 leaderboards, or at least 2 different type of rewards. You know how they give you like a cool looking skin if you're like in the top 10, and then like a shittier looking skin if you're like in the top 50 or whatnot, right?
Yeah.
So they should probably do something like that. You have the people that are not in the rank system get the silver skin, and then the people that are competing in the rank system get the gold skin.
Yeah.
Also, another thing is there's no way. Hopefully they change this. But the mutation skin should be completely different than the PvP skin. I think the PvE skin should be completely separate than the PvE.
On the PTR, it did look like the skins were all kind of the same. I'm not sure if that was just a PTR thing, but they did look fairly similar. Like, you wouldn't really be able to tell, oh, they've got that cool skin, but is that from like doing wars, or is that just from like like literally catching legendary fish was another category?
Exactly. So they should probably make different skins for different occasions, because they had the one for like closing breaches, But again, it's the same one for PvP. So if you see somebody with a corrupted looking gear, you're like, okay, that guy is like in the top 10 of the, you know, the corrupted bridges leaderboard. Or if you see you should be able to tell the difference, right? You know how whenever you see the Thorp's, the Thorp Death End skin running around with all of the flaming thing, the mutation 10 death skin.
Oh yeah,
from
the
Thorp.
Captain Expedition set. Yeah, it's all
right. That it glares and stuff.
Yeah.
Right. A PvP skin should be just like that. You know, like people can tell, okay, that guy is a massive PvPer, or that guy is an M10 enjoyer. You know, he's the best in the world at M10.
Yeah.
At least we should be able to tell the difference between skins.
Yeah. Okay, that's I feel like that's a pretty good. I don't know. Again, I don't even know Amazon's gonna like see any of this, but I feel like it's a pretty decent feedback. Like some differentiation between the skins, the categories, at least in like PvP, probably at the very least make them based on like a win-loss ratio, something like that. If we are gonna go from skull, it should be like a point multiplier for different factors, you know, so tanks actually stand a chance of getting somewhere in the skull area. Do you think? One other question, I guess, on leaderboards for you, Trick, and also for chat as well. Is there any other categories that you guys think are missing on leaderboards that they're like, you know, they haven't seen yet? They're like, oh, that should probably be like a leaderboard metric. Because I was looking through and I was like, you know, I feel like I don't really know what more they could add. Like on the PvE side of things, they got the mutated expeditions, makes sense, and they got invasions. And I was like, crafting, it's like just how many legendaries you can craft. I'm not sure if there's even a reward for that. So, and then on the PvP side, you got wars, outpost rush, arena. Should there be? Oh, there is like open world kills as well, actually, isn't there? So yeah, I feel like they have. I don't know. They have covered like almost every category. I can't think of anything.
They have.
Yeah,
they have. The 3v3 arena not giving reward though. Obviously, that it's probably gonna change in the future. But that's very weird because 3v3 already it's a mode that is like kind of not very popular. A lot of people don't do 3v3s because, well, they don't give you any reward other than just PvP experience. And at this point, a lot of the hardcore PvPers being at like track level 200. Oh, can we talk about that for a second, B?
Yeah, of course, sure.
Are you track level 200 yet?
I'm not, no. But I didn't do the Great Cleave thing, you know. That was like a lot of people who like they got a lot of levels at the Great Cleave, and I did like a little bit of it, but I didn't like push it like crazy, you know. So there was like I remember back in the day it was like a train going back and forth just running the missions continuously. So, and I was like I did it for a little bit on the stream.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did it for a little bit too because I was leveling the faction level. That's the only time that I went yellow. Oh my god, I hate being yellow. B, I don't know how you can do it, dude.
Dude, yellow is the best, man.
Bunch of freaks, but
oh, dude, some yellow hatred here. So wait, what PvP track level are you, by the way, Trick? Where you at? You at 200?
Dude, I've been 200 for I think I got 200 in the first month that it came out.
Okay.
So once you get to 200, B, there's nothing in there.
Yeah.
Literally. It absolutely nothing. Once you get to 200, there's absolutely no rewards for you whatsoever. The amount of useless things that you get blue items, you get freaking not even you know how sometimes you get the legendary, like straight up just legendary item?
Yeah,
that barely happens in 200. Dude, if I see one a week, it's too much.
Yeah.
So the legendary items is not there. It's usually the same repeated white shoes and the 3 PvP sets that they give you. So once you get to 200, you see a lot of those. But if you haven't gotten at that point, like, what do you even want it? First of all, they're not even that good. Shuriken heals needs to be buffed. Shuriken heals is in a place that even if you stack 5 Shuriken heals and you do the dodge, it's like maximum is like 1.2 thousand healing or something like that. And 1.2 thousand healing every 5 seconds is not enough because sometimes a fight lasts like, you know, shoot, a potion is like 4,000 something. Yeah. You know, you pop a potion, it's like equivalent to you dodging 4 times in a time of like 20 seconds because it's like 5 seconds.
Yeah, I remember I got the full Shuriken heal set and I was like excited, and then I tried it for a little bit. I'm like, wow, this is really just underwhelming, man. This is crap. And then I went back to Shuriken fortification instead because it actually did something.
Yeah, I mean the amount of damage that you mitigate with Shuriken fortification in a period of 20 seconds is way more than how much you get healed by Shuriken heal. So Shuriken heal obviously needs a buff. I don't think it should be in like amounts of health. I think it should be less cooldown because you dodge sometimes like 2, 3, 4 times in a span of 5 seconds, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it should be in power a little bit. But going back to this, the reason people don't want to do arenas anymore is because if they're like level track 200 or they already got the PvP rewards that they want, they don't want to do arenas for anything. If they want to do arenas, probably for the daily gypsum. So OPR is a good stuff because OPR catches are so freaking good. They're very, very strong. You get amazing PvP pieces of armor in there, and it's just very rewarding. It's just so good. So arenas is like a dying mode. The map is being full of glitches and bugs. I've been reporting this on the forums for a very long time. Like the walls and the arenas are like completely shoot through. So sometimes you want to use like a beacon and you miss the target and the beacon just goes right through the wall into the corrupted, you know, bridge back there. And then it probably goes to the next arena. Who knows? Right? So
sorry, no, go on.
No. It's just I feel like the arenas are being a little neglected. The narrator is still saying that we're missing members. and he's been saying that now for like 6 months. Oh, does anybody in the crowd wants to jump in? It's like, no, man. We have the 6 people already in here. He goes, oh, well, I guess here we go. Also, another thing for arena, there should be a ready check.
Yeah.
You know how sometimes, I think they should add a ready check.
Stupid long wait time, and then it's like if you want to change your gear at the start, you get like four hours, and then if you want to change like in between rounds, you're like you gotta like really quickly like change everything at the same time. Like, oh crap, where are my boots? Where and then as soon as the wall drops, you're in combat and you can't change anything. You're like,
yeah, that is the worst part. You log in, it's like. You know, a lot of musketeers, they love to exploit this. I don't know if people have noticed, but if a musketeer kills you and you're like the last member dying, they throw a grenade on your body, and then whenever you revive in the chamber, the grenade explodes, and now the entire team is in combat. They cannot.
Damn, dude, that is like wow, holy flip.
Yeah, or if you put a pylon where the enemy team is going to revive and the enemy team revives, there's a pylon right next to them, they're just beating them.
Oh man.
Shooting. Yeah, so those kind of things is like kind of makes arenas like sometimes like a little bit of a shit show, and like sometimes I feel like it's a little neglected. Yeah. And I think arena has a lot more potential than OPRs because OPR it's too individual. You can play an OPR without helping your teammates in the entire 30 minutes. But arenas, if you don't, go.
Do you think like so obviously like fixing the bugs in arena, but do you think just the simple addition of like making the PvP rewards track like just one track the rewards would be as good as an outpost rush cache? Do you think that would be good enough? Like that 100%. Would be enough incentive?
100%. Make it that you can actually get legendary, because the OPR box, you open them, you get a purple weapon, you can upgrade it to legendary.
Yeah,
100%
that thing's kind of crazy.
time.
I don't know. I still wonder if like Amazon intend that or not, because it doesn't like it's the only occasion where you can upgrade like it's not named obviously, and you can still upgrade it and get a random third perk. Like it's always supposed to be a fixed third perk, but it's random in that case. Kind of crazy.
So yeah, basically OPR is the best way to get legendary weapons in the entire game. Like without a doubt, you have higher chances of getting legendary weapon from OPR than you do from crafting. Crafting is like what, like, you know, you're 595 to 600, so that already adds like a freaking like a 60% chance that you get a legendary. And on top of that, you're wasting how much thousands of gold in resources, right? In OPR, you go there, you got carried by the entire team, you open a box, purple weapon, boom, legendary, free, right? So you not only get purple legendary weapons very often, but you also get amazing legendaries. Have you got any like legendary pieces of armor with like resilient and shuriken fortification?
Yeah, I got a heavy pair of boots with resilient shuriken fortification. Freedom is pretty nuts. It's heavy, but you know, it's still like pretty hyped about that.
Yeah, it's still a very good piece of items. Now, try to get the same piece through the PvP track. It will probably take you like a month for you to achieve that. As a matter of fact, trying to get just a portion of what the OPR rewards you by just doing arenas, it's ridiculously low. The only reason I do arenas is just to have fun, really, because there's no rewards to it. And, you know, it's been out now for quite a minute. So the fun sometimes gets to an end, and especially if you play solo, it's a very big gamble.
Yeah. One thing I also want to add to this as well, while we're complaining about crappy rewards, on the PvE standpoint, I did an invasion yesterday. It was the first invasion I did in a little while, because it's usually like after I finish my stream, and we did it. We went all the way through, got to the end. You know, I placed in the top 10, but I don't think it was really matter your score. I got the box at the end. I opened it up. I got a single item. It was a pair of blue. No, they were purple. They were epic boots, but they had intelligence, dexterity, invigorated, and vigor. And I was like, damn, dude, wow, what a reward! Insane. One piece of gear with like mediocre perks, and I was like, wow, man, thank you for the 30-minute reward. Meanwhile, again, an Outpost Rush box, and I please don't nerf Outpost Rush boxes, Amazon,
OPR
but
box,
that should be the baseline of like how good a reward can be. And man, it's just, yeah, invasion boxes suck, PvP reward track sucks, like yeah.
War boxes suck.
Yeah, war boxes are the same as well, right? They're also super disappointing.
Yeah, super disappointing. And once again, if ATS, if you're watching this, do not nerf OPR boxes. Literally, if you nerf OPR boxes, half of the people doing OPR nowadays will not do it tomorrow, because that is the main reason we do OPR, is for that box. So if you nerf it, that's not good.
Yeah.
So instead, for people to be more enticed of doing the other activities, buff the other boxes.
Yeah.
I did a war a couple days ago, and I got a name blunderbuss from the war box. It's called War Cannon. Right? The perks are horrendous. It's not even for PvP. It's just like, hold on. Why are you giving named items from a PvP reward box specifically, and then you make it horrible for PvP? And that is also some of the rewards sometimes that you get from this type of events. They're not just good. But that probably has to go with you know, the automated perk making named items.
They just randomly roll the perks. So on the topic
put it in there
of buffs and nerfs, obviously segues pretty good into the second thing that we have to talk about today, which is the balance changes upcoming. Now, we don't have any specific numbers, so if anything does get posted, you know, after this video goes up on YouTube, we'll link it in the description down below. But Amazon have outlined that they want to do some changes. So I think it was like almost like 10, 11 days ago now, nearly 2 weeks ago. Dave, who is like the combat balance specialist, he said they're looking at doing some changes to specifically they named Firestaff, Greatsword, Hatchet, Musket, and Bow. And it looked and then recently we got the video where they talked about they're going to be making some nerfs to light armor as well, specifically with the perks that they mentioned was Resilient and Shirking Fortification. And then was there anything else as well? Yeah, they said that they were going to Musket with some accuracy changes or something like that. Which I'm, you know, I think we talk about that. That's going to be interesting, because I feel like you generally stand still with the musket anyway on a rock, so it's weird. Yeah. What are your thoughts on? I'm sure you've talked about it so many times. But
dude. So
I don't know any point that you want to start off with, Trick, like out of that.
By the way, I would like to tell the community that those weapons that were put there, they're just not those are not just the weapons that are going to be worked on. The next weapon balancing update that we're going to have is going to be basically like a major patch for weapon balancing changes. It's not just going to be those 5. It's going to be pretty much every weapon there is. All of the weapons are getting some sort of rework. It's going to be huge. It's going to be big.
What's the just for out of curiosity's sake though, what's the source of that information that makes you say that?
Oh yeah, no, I cannot say that.
Okay.
I cannot say that.
but you have it on good authority though that would be the case.
Yes, yeah, no, it's gonna be big major update for the weapons, but the ones that are being focused on right now, obviously, is going to be the Firestaff, Musket, Hatchet, Great Sword, and Bow, right? And so the bow, I think, honestly, I don't have a problem with the bow. The one thing that the bow has is that it's very good at what it does. And I don't want the bow to be brought down. I just want the other ranged weapons to feel pretty similar to the bow, because the bow has an insane fluidity of movement. They can shoot and move rather easily, rather quickly. The one thing the bow has is just that it's mainly single target. And they do that perfectly, right?
Yeah.
Now, the mages, in the other hand, they feel a little bit lackluster whenever they try to compete in the mobility aspects. But at the same time, the mages have a lot of AoEs. So it's like a different playstyle right here, you know?
Yeah.
For the muskets, the musket is such a weird thing, man. It still doesn't make too much sense for me that the musket is the way it is. And yeah, they were like, oh yeah, if you're strafing, your accuracy will be off a little bit, but the only time that you strafe is probably when you're like mid-range fighting somebody.
Yeah, somebody's trying to push up on you. But
it's
90% of musket combat is like, even shoot a stance, you literally have to stand still to use it.
Exactly, exactly. So the one way that they could actually fix this is the longer you aim, the more accuracy you have. Instead of you aiming, the aim is there, shoot, the bullet goes there, right? So if you aim, it goes like this. And then like 2 seconds later, at least if you're gonna keep a hit scan, right, at least give the player an idea of when they, pretty much they should expect the ability to come, because everything else you can see it coming, right? Like the bow arrows, you see it coming, the fireballs, anything, you see it coming. But with the musket, you pretty much has to be like a magician to like, oh, he's gonna do it now, and then again they don't do it, right? So at least whenever you aim, it's a bigger circle that if you shoot the bullet, a little bit of a spread, and then the longer you aim, the more concentrated that point is. Obviously, we cannot make it like a 3-second thing, because then, the muskets will not do any damage, but at least make it like a 1.5 second that they need to aim before they can shoot. That way that they shoot, roll, shoot, and then, the stopping power is like another shoot, another shot, and all of those things has like pinpoint accuracy,
Yeah.
And that makes it a little bit hard.
Vladdy has like an interesting suggestion in the chat. I don't know if it'd be a good idea, but he says like, what if you could hold your breath while aiming? So that like use your stamina bar or something. I don't know. So it's like swaying around a bit, and then you hold your breath.
Yes,
stamina starts depleting, and you get like straight accuracy. Yeah, I feel like that's big brain. That's not bad, right?
That's big brain move. Yeah, 100%. Consume your stamina while holding. That's it. That's it.
We fixed it, dude. There we go. Good job. You're hired, Vladdy. We fixed the musket.
That's pretty freaking smart. No, I'm not gonna lie to you. That's pretty smart. Now,
I think also like the idea of some people would say like you make it, just don't make it hit scan, make a projectile. I don't know if that would like take away from what the musket is.
That would take away. Obviously, it will be a very good solution because, well, it will take away most of the problems. But how much do they need to rework the weapon at that point to not make a hit scan? I think it's harder for them to not make a hit scan.
Basically rework the weapon if they did that effectively.
Completely rework the weapon, right? And it looks like they don't want to do that.
No.
That's not the approach that they want to go for. For the fire staff, some of the weapon changes. I wrote a very long forum post. I don't know if you saw it.
I don't think I have yet. No.
It's very, very long, and it's basically me talking about the fire staff, because a lot of people say the fire staff is powerful. A lot of people, the daily conversation. And the post was basically the fire staff does not need a buff, but it also does not need a nerf. The fire staff needs a big rework.
Yeah.
And it's like a lot of the abilities, like people until this day, they think that we use the flamethrower because the flamethrower is busted. No, we use the flamethrower because we have nothing else better to use, right? And you see this with every single weapon in the entire game. Like, there are some abilities that every weapon needs to get in order to play the game. Like, imagine a healer playing without Sacred Ground. Imagine a Great Axe playing without Gravity Well. Imagine a Warhammer playing with Shockwave. So we never complain about these weapons using the same ability in every single one of the builds. Yet we complain about the Fire Staff, which I still don't see it. And it's not really, we don't have a choice. Meteor Shower is very bad. Incinerate is very bad. Pillar of Fire is extremely inconsistent. You're right. And flame and in our basic attacks, we forget how to walk for like a second. So we don't even want to do basic attacks because it's like a self nerf. So we use the flamethrower because it's literally the best way that we can do damage, the best way that we can do damage consistent, and the best way that we can hit the enemy. So it's our only, outside of Fireball, flamethrower is the only second thing that we have. So they need to rework a lot of the things. And in the process, if they do rework the Fire Staff, and they give it like some rends, some weakening, some slow, stagger, or some sort of CC, then I will even recommend to lower the damage a little bit, because by the time, if they give rends to the Fire Staff, then lowering the damage a little bit will compensate for the little bit of damage loss, right? Yeah. And maybe they fix the other abilities as well.
I feel like it's even there to make sense that the Fire Staff, like if you're like burning or whatever, like you've been your skin's been like cauterized, you like can't, it's like a healing debuff, like you wouldn't get as much healing, or you'd like take extra damage because when something hits you, it's like gonna sting a lot because your skin's like literally all burned. So they could at the very least like put a rend on it and put a You know, I think Fire Staff might be one of like the few weapons in the game that doesn't have like a rend or a weaken or a slow or a stun. Like almost every other weapon, probably other than Life Staff.
It has zero utility. Zero. There has absolutely nothing. And the only thing that the weapon was designed for was for it to do damage. That was literally it. And people in wars don't want us to use it as a damage dealer. They're like, get out of here with your stat padding weapons. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
It's like, what am I supposed to do? You know? And so, I mean, I have crazy ideas for the fireball. I mean, for the fire staff. But again, it's just, I'm not going to tell AGS what they should do, because that, again, that's not my job. My job here is to tell them how it's working and what, you know, like what is broken and what is not.
Yeah.
If they hire me, though, I'll do change fire staff. The flamethrower will be like 20 meters long.
All right. So another hot topic that affects both of us,
the light roll,
is the light armor. Yeah, we're both. You know, I play healer, you play mage. We're both in light armor. Obviously. So if anybody doesn't know, by the way, what we're talking about, there was a developer update video a little while ago, and I will say, like, shout outs to Amazon. I do appreciate when they put out those Forged in Eternum. The fact that they did a Q&A. They took questions from the forums and then they asked them. They answered the questions on the video. I do love that sort of stuff, so it's always great to see those things. It's good content. But one of the things that they talked about was the balance of armor and equipment loads. So like heavy versus medium versus light. They feel like it's a very light-centric game. This is at what Amazon was saying right now. It's very much a light meta. And they want to adjust that. And it seemed to be that they were looking more at the PvP side of things, because the specific perks they talked about was Resilient and Shirking Fortification. Obviously, Shirking Fortification does work in PvE as well, but you know, a Resilient Shirking Fortification armor piece is typically, that's a PvP armor piece. So what's your take on them nerfing Resilient for light armor, Trick? We've talked about this off the podcast. I already know what you're gonna say, but like, you know, just to cover the ground here for the podcast, how are we feeling about the idea of nerfing light armor? First of all, is it too OP compared to medium and heavy? Does it even need a nerf in the first place?
Well, we don't really know the actual numbers of the nerf, right?
That's true. So we could get pitchforks, but we don't know exactly. But is any nerf though? You know, like if Resilient goes from like 4.9 to 3.9, is that?
Right. So this is the one thing that we're gonna get to it right now. So a lot of weapons in the game don't do a lot of critical damage, but some weapons do, right? You have musketeers and bows doing insane these very, very big criticals. So now, if we talk about resilience on a light player, right? Dex users, they crit us a lot and they do a lot of damage. And the melee players, they crit us when they are behind us. So basically when we are running away. I've never used Shuriken Fortification, for starters. I have never, ever used in the 1 year that I've been playing, and even, you know, Shuriken Fortification came later. I have never ever used Shuriken Fortification.
Is that an active decision for you, or
it is an active decision, because it forces me to change my play style. Like, let's say if I'm fighting against a melee player and I want to get distance from him, right, then I'm not getting any use of that Shuriken Fortification. It forces me to roll forward instead of roll backwards. But I want to roll backwards. I want to roll sideways, right? So I don't want a perk changing the way that I want to play the game. And that's the way. That's the same way that I don't use Shuriken Empowerment on the amulet, because I feel like it forces me. If you want to utilize this perk, you need to play this way. I don't like that. And it's, for light users, we're very squishy. So if we roll forward and we miss that roll, well, now we're gonna get punished for it, right? So I rather don't put myself in a dangerous situation to get a bonus defensive. So Resilient is the one thing that I have used my the whole time. Now, let's be real. Resilient barely helps you against bow users. You get hit by a triple rapid fire with a bow, and you get shredded, because the first hit is gonna be critical, right? But then the other hits, they will do still insane amount of damage. They have a critical very often, and we have been trying to get away from the bow musket meta in OPR. But if we remove Resilient from the light armors, imagine how much easier this type of class will kill the light players, like the healers, the mages, or the assassins running around the map, right? And the muskets, they don't care about this, because first of all, the muskets don't use Shuriken Fortifications, and they're already using like very low con, like 5 or 50. So even if they have resilience, they still get chunked a lot. So this is going to affect mainly the healers and the mages. Now the discussion was lights have too much damage, but they are still too tanky.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think we are tanky at all. I think the way that we are tanky is whenever we use like an old-fledged bomb. Yes, then because, well, you're basically giving us 35 damage reduction right there. Or when we use like a gem stars, that's whenever I feel tanky. But if I get like caught by like inside of a gravity well, and then there's like a guy with a warhammer, oh, I'm done.
Yeah,
right? I'm mega done. And to be honest with you, this nerf, it will affect more the average player, because the average player doesn't know how to roll very consistently. They don't know how to roll, good. So they get hit by a lot of things. So this nerf to the light armor is actually making it for the average player, have even less chance at fighting or feel somewhat useful in these matches, because light, like I said, is pretty squishy now. And if you see a new player playing light, dude, I was in an OPR yesterday, and like I was like, what? These people are just dying in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here? And then I was like, oh man, whenever this change actually makes it to live, these people are gonna die even quicker. And I know that these are not good players, because I can see by their skill level, right? And they're dying so easily. Imagine when the next patch comes, they're gonna die even easier, and they will be a lot more discouraged to not even either not play the game or not play light.
Yeah, I get people coming into the chat and they say like, I just played my first game of Outpost Rush and I just got completely destroyed. What can I do differently? And first of all, it usually turns out that they're not wearing Resilient, but now it's like, if they're in light, it's not even going to make that much of a difference as well. So yeah, people saying, how do you think it's going to affect healers? Like, the idea that a healer can move to medium or heavy, I just don't think it's there. Like, a while ago, Amazon said, hey, if you want to heal, you have to be in light. But now they're saying, if you're in light, shame on you. And then they like slap you for it as well. It's like forced into this box, and then they fill the box with like poop as well. It's pretty rough.
Right, and somehow, I mean, the devs were saying that we are in a light meta, but we're not. We're really not in a light meta, because so the reason some people might think that we're in a light meta is because you see a lot of people using lights in like OPR and arenas. Yeah. But the reason why we use light in OPR arena is because most of these things you do it solo, right? Light is like a solo. It's like for you to play solo, you don't depend on your teammates. You can do whatever you want. You can traverse around the map a lot quicker, so it's more of like a choice, because you just want to play solo and feel free, not because it's really that powerful. Because if we look at what the meta really is, it's medium. Look at wars. It is the most highly competitive thing right now, where the people actually pay attention and put a lot of time into making the best possible team. And this best possible team have like 90% of them are medium users, right? You have the medium bruisers, and you have the medium void gauntlets, ice gauntlet, the medium IGVG. And then the only ones that are light are the healers and the assassin. And even some of the assassins are even going medium, because if they go light, they get close to like a clump and they immediately die. Right? So we're not in a light meta. The meta is still medium, and medium has always been king. Whenever we talk about group fight, whenever we talk about like group content, which it was, the game should be balanced around, not on 1v1s, not on OPRs that people are doing whatever the hell they want. The game should be balanced in team fights, because if the game is balanced in 1v1, then every weapon will be overpowered, because every weapon should have everything for a 1v1 scenario. Now, if we balance it on a team, like point of view, then you have the support build. He's not going to kill anybody on his own, but he can make his teammates very strong, right? So you don't need to increase the damage of this class, because this class is already buffing the teammates and he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, right? So yeah, we're not in a light meta at all. I disagree completely with that. I think we're still in a medium meta, and medium has always been the meta.
I don't know, man.
Even for mages, dude.
I mean, I do see, like, when I go into Outpost Rush, it's like everybody's dodge rolling. But again, it's like you say, because it's the solo way to go. For me, yeah. I think, like, one of the things, maybe this is a hot take, maybe you're going to disagree with it or whatever, but I think ever since people, like, it happened really early on, but people, like, you got to get hearty on a ring. If you're in light or in your heavy, you get hearty because you get a third dodge. I think if this hearty didn't exist, and, like, you were relegated to 2 dodges in light, 3 in medium, and 2 in heavy, and there was no way to change that, I feel like that would have like a really big impact. Like, I don't know.
That would actually make it even worse.
I know. I bet that's the way you survive in light armor. I think like when people say people are tanky in light armor, it's because you can't even flip and hit them, because there's like dodge roll, and then you get stamina recovery, and then you dodge roll. So,
but most of these people that are light, and the survivability doesn't even come from light rolls. It comes from their weapons. Like, for example, give light a fire staff, let's say fire staff, whatever, like a fire staff greatsword, right? That guy is dead. You know, he will, if somebody comes close to him, he will be dead immediately. Now, replace that greatsword with a rapier.
Yeah.
Right? Now that guy has all of a sudden freaking 200 more survivability just because of that rapier. Now, most of the bow players and musketeer players, well, they already have a lot of haste implemented into those weapons. Like the bow, whenever you swap weapons or whenever you sheath it, you get like 30% movement speed. And on top of that, you have the rolls. And on top of that, you have the flash, the evade, and all of these things to run away. So it's not really the light that is so powerful and so like slippery. Is light in combination with some of these weapons that give insane mobility. Like if I hit a bow player running away with net shot, right? That is possibly the only way that I can catch these people. In the time that they're slow by the net shot, they still use the flash for like full distance. They still evade, right? And they still grabbing a lot of distance by using the weapon abilities. So if we take like you said, the hardy away from the ring, we would never be able to get away from the melee players because that melee attack slows you for like 50%.
Yeah.
The roll is reduced.
It's true. Yeah, they made that change. I don't know, it was like 4 months ago or whatever. Where your dodge roll is like much less distance now. Yeah, I don't really know what the solution is because it used to be, and I would say like if you just made it so that like life staff and rapier was like an illegal weapon combination, most healers would just like be done. You know, they just kill them so easily because they relied on the rapier so much for their escape, rather than just thinking like, oh, am I a bit too close here? Because if they did get too close, they just like riposte and then dash, and yeah, so
right. And
yeah, I don't know, man.
The biggest argument that medium and heavy have against light is the mobility. And I've been kind of memeing saying this for a little bit now. It's like, okay, they're not complaining that the lights are doing too much damage. They're complaining that the lights have too much mobility, right? Then they made melee weapons make light roll slower, right? And then they said, okay, well, now they're slow, but we can still not kill them because they have so much observability. Right, so never in this argument is being about the light weapon damage. So like I said, I've been memeing. So how about we give the light roll to everybody, but that come with incentives, right? And like if you're heavy, right, you have the light roll, you have the mobility that you want to, but your damage is greatly reduced. The same way that they reduce healing by 30% on heavy, let's reduce the damage done by 30% on heavy. You still move, you're still very tanky because that is the purpose you go heavy, right? You don't go heavy to do damage, you go heavy to be tanky. Right, so you still move very freely. You are very tanky, but your damage is decreased. If you want to go medium should be like the middle ground. You still have the light roll, but now you do a little bit of damage and you take a little bit less damage. And light, it should not be touched, right? Like they get still full damage and they still do the damage that they deal. And yeah, I mean that will be a way. I don't know. Again, I don't know what you guys think about. What do you think of that? What do you think of that, V?
I think I think there's some truth in that. For me, it's like rather than nerf light, I think it would be provide either buff or quality of life changes to, I don't know about medium, but certainly heavy. Make it just, I don't know. The thing that always sucks for me about playing heavy whenever I try and heavy build is the little grandma shuffle you get. It's like just no movement at all, man. I'm gonna move half an inch over here and then half an inch over there, you know, like that's it.
I did the testing, B. You know the difference between a light roll and a heavy roll is 1 meter.
Yeah. I mean, that's, you know, then you do 3 of those though, back to back. It's pretty good going.
It's 3 meter.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know, like, but I am gonna say that I'm biased, right? Because like for me as a life staff user, I feel like I don't have a choice anyway. I have to be in light, so you know, to advocate for like, I mean, I've seen life staff nerf so many times as well in the past. That's like they nerf the life staff again, then nerf the weapon that you pair with the life staff, the rapier, then nerf the armor that we use. And like, what you get, just take away mana potions as well, you know, just make it so that like healing has like, you know, you have most 5,000 HP. It's like, come on, man. I don't know. Just give the people that like don't like us, give them stuff rather than take away from us. So that's kind of my take on it, but I don't really know exactly. I think maybe give everybody a dodge roll, but have some penalty to it. I think there is some merit in that conversation. I don't know, chat. What do you guys think about the idea of like all all equip loads having access to the dodge roll, but with various penalties. Do you think that's a bad take, or do we like that? Like, what are you guys thinking? We got no, not good.
No, they don't like it. But why? Why is it they don't like it? Who is the one that are not liking the heavy people
bad
or the light
in
people?
All caps. Bad. I mean, so what if we're going from the perspective of like, why is somebody with 1,000 pounds going to be able to roll? But let's not go down that, because how are you storing like 16 different weapons in your bag that you just pull out of thin air as well? Like, we can't go like around the realistic side of things, because it's a video game where there's a magical elk that keeps coming back to life that you kill over and over again. So yeah, in New World we can roll and dodge on, we can roll in heavy armor, but we can't swim in it. You know, it's like.
But then I don't understand what the argument is, because if the heavies cannot roll in light armor, then they shouldn't be complaining that the light armors are too mobile, right? Because that is literally the only purpose you play light armor is for the mobility. We already did the math. The damage differential from a heavy user and a light user is very minimal. So we don't go light for the damage. That is really not the reason we go light. We go light only in the sole purpose that we have to play light is because of the mobility.
Yeah.
We're not playing light because, oh, if you don't play light, you do no damage. No, the damage between light and medium is like non-existent. And the damage difference between light and heavy is very, very little, because heavy and mediums, they don't lose any damage, right? Light only gets a little bit of damage. It's not like they, the other weapons.
30%
the other
base
weapons,
damage, right? So.
Right. And the other weapons don't lose absolutely anything. They actually gain things from it. So if they complaining that light has too much mobility, then why are you playing heavy? You're playing heavy because you want to be tanky, right? Not because you want to kill light users. And they were like, well, but there's nothing I can do about a light player whenever they start running away. Well, how about you go light? It's like the same argument that people's like, oh, Pylon is too strong in the 1v1 tournament. Okay, how about you put some eye resistance, right? If you have like 50% ice resistant, well, guess what? That Pylon is going to do absolutely nothing, no damage to you. And that is the main problem that I've been seeing with a lot of the things that happen, is that people want the game to change towards them, but they don't want to change their playstyle to adapt to the game. They want the game to adapt to them and not the other way around. And that is very toxic. That is very selfish. And that would never, ever, because everybody wants different things. And if AGS gives people things that they want, it will never get anywhere. You know, you have a bunch of kids in the forum asking to nerf weapons. Imagine if every people that goes to the forum, they will give them what they want, the game will be chaos. So I don't know, man.
Yeah. Dexter Lorian says, why don't people play with light armor in wars other than healer, I guess? Do you know you get like
because it's too squishy.
Yeah.
Too squishy. Yeah, too squishy. You cannot be in the point. If everybody's playing light armor and you have the gravity wells and people in point, the sacred ground wouldn't even matter, because you will die in a second. The reason people play medium armor in wars is not because of the damage that you do, or because your mobility, is because how tanky you are, and it gives you enough survivability for you to be able to stay on point and do damage, but be a little bit mobile at the same time with the little hops.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't envy Amazon in trying to implement these changes. All I can say is just like, from the perspective of a healer, I would just like it, if they feel like there is a disparity between heavy, medium, and light, to give rather than take away. That's where I'm coming from anyway. If it's like, if light armor feels really fun and like enjoyable to play, then don't like make it crap. Just make the other things more fun and enjoyable to play. That's where I would come
the
from.
crazy thing is, the crazy thing is, if you grab a light player, the same exact build, like a mirror build, right, and you put it in front of a medium player, and they both trading damage, the medium one will win. If you put the light player versus a heavy player, the heavy player will win against the light player. Like trading damage, right? So in small scale PvP and group fight and in duels, medium armor, it's way better than light armor. Light armor is only good for solo content, and obviously whenever you're a healer or whenever you're playing bow or musket, because it's very good for you. Other than that, we're not really in a light meta. And yeah, most of people are in arenas are light, but that is because they play solo. That's about it. Actually, with the change to melee weapons making us roll less, I honestly thought that was already a lot. Didn't you think that that was enough already of a nerf for the light armor?
Yeah, initially when I saw the change, I didn't think it was gonna be that much, but it does make a difference, man. When you get a melee dude hitting you, like, man, dude, I tried to I did some 3v3 arenas, and there was a guy with a sword and shield warhammer. I could not get away from him, dude. It was brutal. He was like, but yeah. Although I was playing Lifestaff Void Gauntlet, so it's probably part of it. I think if I had a rapier, I'd still be okay. That's the thing.
But you see, you are literally forced to play rapier if you want to get away from a melee guy. That's crazy, right? But you need to change your
But I have played on that perspective, right? So I don't play like Bruiser on melee weapons that often, but when I do play Bruiser and melee weapons and I'm like trying to catch up with the bow rapier guy, it's like so annoying, dude. It's like, just stand still and let me hit you, you know? So I know that's his whole spiel, right? And if I can actually hit him, then it would be a good, like, it would be pretty good. But
I mean, you don't play those weapons, so you're not like super, because
yeah, I'm a potato for sure with it. Yeah.
The tracking of some of these melee weapons is ridiculously powerful. Like the tracking from sword and shield, dude. The fact that if a sword and shield hits you with a basic attack, they can spam left click and you can do like 3 light rolls and they still on top of you pressing left click. They don't even have to dodge, right? And one thing that some people might not know is that, well, you know how whenever you're slow by like an ability that slows you down, right? Like Path of Destiny or something like that, your roll is reduced, right? And then if you get hit by a melee weapon, your roll is reduced. Well, this thing stacks, B. I don't know if you knew that. Like if you get hit by like a leaping strike, it's both a melee attack and a slow. So your roll is reduced by like 40% because the slow is by being slow by an ability that slows you down, it reduces the roll distance, but also melee attack reduces the roll distance. So now you have like a 40% nerf rolled that you can, dude, you go like this and you stay in place. You don't even move. Yeah, this, I thought that was already enough. I thought honestly that was already enough. And the thing is, the main weapons that are getting anything out of this is really the melee weapons and the dex weapons, because they create a lot. The mage class is a class that creates the least because we don't have any guarantee crit, right? Dexterity users, they have a crit every 10 seconds and they already have 10% on their 50 dexterity. And the weapons, you have a very good kit for and headshots is always a critical. And then you have the melee weapons. Melee weapons, they don't even need to. Melee weapons could literally have 0 critical strike, that if they're hitting you from behind, it's 100% crit, right?
Yeah.
But mages, we need to have crit mandatory in our weapon, in our ring, if we want to crit with our things. So the musketeers and bows will get stronger. The melee weapons will get stronger. And we've been trying to get the mage weapon to be PvP competitive, at least for some sort of scale, but it's not being helped over here.
Well, I mean, I think like I don't think we're gonna be able to, like, unfortunately, we solved the musket. We just nailed that, dude. Yeah, just add the breath mechanic to him. But I don't think we're gonna be able to solve it just here. But if we move, so talking about the melee weapons, and the rebalancing that's gonna be coming in. It's probably going to be a lot of weapons, but specifically what they called out was the hatchet and the greatsword that they mentioned. For me, I think like one of the problems with the greatsword is you talked about it. It's like you just hold down left mouse button and you just like you teleport into people. Like it's like suddenly the player's like filled with magnets and you just come into them. So like I think that is pretty insane with the tracking. When it comes to like a hatchet, do you think like if there is any aspects of the hatchet that are like OP, like how do you imagine, like if you had to guess what they're going to be tackling, or you could advise them and be like, all right, this is what's like a bit OP with the greatsword and hatchet, if anything, what would you say?
Definitely the greatsword. The greatsword is the tracking. I don't think the greatsword deals. I mean, I know the greatsword deals a lot of damage, but at the same time, they receive a lot of damage. Yeah. Right. The onslaught stance, whenever they go there, yeah, massive damage, but they receive a lot of damage. The problem is with the tracking. The tracking of the greatsword is the main deadly factor from the greatsword. After we tune down the tracking of the greatsword, then we'll see if another problem surface. Yeah. Now, as for the hatchet, I think the main problem with the hatchet is the survivability of the hatchet. It has whenever, because they pop the fight death, right? They switch to the freaking sword and shield. They can do like a leap away, roll and gun, right? Or they pop the fight death. they use Berserk. It removes all of the slows and whatever stun. It gives them 20% movement speed. It gives them HP regen, and nobody can catch them, right?
Yeah.
So, if we go into, as a matter of fact, I don't have a problem with the fight death because I think every ultimate should feel like the fight death. Every ultimate in the game should feel powerful. And if the hatchet has the fight death, then I'm not saying that everybody should have the fight death, but every weapon should have a similar powerful ultimate that they could utilize that is meaningful. Because the fight death lasts 3 seconds. It could be removed with Oblivion. It could be removed with Skyward Slash. It could be removed with a lot of things, right? A lot of things can remove the fight death. They have a 75-second cooldown.
Yeah.
So for the hatchet, if they do going to do something with the hatchet, it's probably nerf the damage of the hatchet a little bit, because whenever they pop that the fight death, sometimes they like 3-tap you, bing, bam, boom, like they kill you, right? Like super quick. The left click of the hatchet, and that's probably why the hatchet is one of the most used weapons in PvE, is because it has both the things that you want. It has survivability and insane amounts of damage, right? And having these two things, it's very dangerous with a weapon. If they go into the nerf the fight death, they cannot remove it from 3 seconds. I think 3 seconds is more. It's more than enough that they need, and it's also short enough that if you're able to maintain distance with that hatchet for 3 seconds, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's probably the cooldown of the fight death. I think the cooldown might be a little too short.
I would say, I don't know, maybe you disagree. I would say Defy Death, when you look at all the weapon ultimates in the game, you know, at the bottom of the skill tree, I think that is the most powerful out of all. Like, that has the most impact. Like, nothing else. Like, literally not being able to die. Does any other weapon ultimate compare to that level of power from both a PvE and a PvP standpoint? Is there anything that's, like, equal to that? I know the Greatsword gets a lot of cooldown reduction with the... you know, with the attacks and stuff.
And a lot of healing.
Man, that is the fact that you literally can't die though is pretty good.
But you see, but I don't have a problem with that. The problem that I have is with the other weapons not having something as powerful as that. Every weapon's ultimate should be as powerful as the
so you
fight
want
death.
everything to be as exciting then.
Everything should be as exciting, right? Like the hatchet has that thing that they don't die, but then the fire mage has something that they can destroy you in, like, you know,
you turn
like
into like
2 seconds,
a fire phoenix and like burn the battleground or something like that.
Every single ultimate should feel rewarding and used. At the moment, you don't even use either of the ultimate for freaking fire stab because they're useless. So again, I don't have a problem with the fight
pretty
death.
OP. That's the 400% mana regen, right?
Yeah. Look at Berserk, not a Berserk. Look at Bloodlust from Great Axe. Bloodlust is ridiculously powerful by just looking at you.
Yeah.
I get movement speed, I get damage. You cannot escape me, bro. You know, and you have the Sword and Shield gives you 10% damage. The other one reduces damage.
Sword and Shield's
then,
like
but look at the hatchet. The fight death is mega powerful. Then the one on the right side is like, okay.
Nobody even knows what that does, man. Who would be?
No, I don't know what that
does. Some extra damage when you throw hatchets to like a debuff target or some like really specific stuff.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
It's pretty crazy. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I kind of like the idea of like every weapon ultimate being like as powerful, but I also thought like, okay, if Amazon doesn't want to do that and they are gonna go down the Defy Death, and I was thinking like, what would be an appropriate change? Do you think if Defy Death was just like stave off death, so it's like you still die, but you die 3 seconds later? Do you think it's just kind of boring? It like doesn't.
Oh, like buying time.
Yeah,
so you can
basically
use a
you just get 3
potion.
seconds to just like go crazy, and then you're gonna die anyway. Or it's just like you while you're in Defy Death mode, just like with Ice Block, you can't receive any healing, so you're always gonna come out at 50 HP.
We could do that, or we could also do Defy Death goes from 3 seconds to maybe like 1.5 seconds, but in the 1.5 seconds you take like 90% damage reduction or something like that. Or instead of being, or we could leave the 3 seconds, but instead of being, did you ever play WoW?
Yeah, I played some
you remember Sheet Death from Rogues, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I think Sheet Death will be a better approach than the Fight Death. Like whenever you die, gives you like 10% HP, and then the damage that you take is reduced by like 90%. You can still die,
Yeah.
but at that moment, you don't die. You go to like here, like 10% HP, and you receive like 90% damage reduction for like 3 seconds. But if you're still getting hit by AoEs and defy death procs, you're probably gonna end up dying, right? It's not like a get out of jail free card every single time.
Yeah, Tanayan says this is quite a large change for PvE hatchet users in name of PvP. It's true. This is like we also have to look at it. Like I think defy death in like PvE, I mean it's still pretty good, but it's like in PvP it's like, you know, like not getting killed in PvP is much more impactful than not getting, because you just get knocked down in PvE. So
I disagree with that.
You think so? I mean, I mean, there is a reason why like hatchet is just like the PvE weapon to go to of choice.
It's because
for sure,
of defy death.
Yeah,
it's
it literally enables 5-con builds, I feel like.
Exactly. The main reason why hatchet is probably the most popular weapon in the entire game for PvE is literally because of defy death. Defy death single-handedly carried the hatchet to an optimal level. If defy death wasn't there, dude, hatchet players will be popping left and right, and then the hatchet players will be forced to play with 50 or 100 constitution, and they will lose damage right there. And on top of that, the lower the HP they are, the more damage they do. Again, defy death encourage players to play it in PvE more than anything.
Plugex says, you guys are crazy when it comes to balance. I mean, right now we're just like spitballing, you know. We're not saying that this should happen or whatever.
We don't know what's happening, because we don't know exactly what's happening, so we can pretty much like
we're just speculating, and you know, sometimes like just like throwing out ideas. Like I'm not saying that you know that any of this stuff should be done categorically, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It definitely better than what it is now.
Yeah.
Well, some of these things that we're saying.
Yeah, I do think though, like overall, hatchet it definitely needs some addressing, because man, yeah, it's just so much of it so rampant in PvE, and then in PvP it's still a pretty solid weapon as well. I don't know, you could say it's quite on the same level as like greatsword, but it's pretty flipping good, right? Like what would you, if you like in PvE, I say like it's absolutely S tier. Would you say in PvP hatchet's S tier or
S tiers? Well, 100% S tier. Yeah, 100%. But to be honest with you, the strongest PvP ability of hatchet, deadass, and as a main PvPer, right? The strongest hatchet ability in the entire game is social distancing. Nothing even comes close to social distance. Is the best ability in the hatchet toolkit by a long shot. Defy death doesn't even come close, especially for like small scale PvP. Social distancing is mega powerful.
Yeah, it's like a root and a slow, and it gives you like iframes
and movement
as well,
speed.
Right? Yeah, and movement speed. just does everything. Right?
Yeah. And now you can move forward and do this thing like, and just throw the hatchet, and your character doesn't even stop because your hand like moves weird. And he's like, what did he do? I just threw a hatchet, I think. And because they did that new animation thing where like the blunderbuss, if you use the net shot while you're doing it forward, you know, you kind of slow down and you see the net shot, you know, that you have the hatchet play, he goes like, it's like, what are he doing?
But this is another example where, like, you know, if I was like only a PvE player and I saw patch notes and I saw that they nerfed social distancing, I'd be like, what are you doing, Amazon? Like, nobody's using social distancing. But that's a PvE thing. So again, like somebody said, what about make gear weapon perks and make it only PvE, only PvP? Like, I think this is like I really think this should be a long-term goal of this. Like, I played like Guild Wars and Rift and Lost Ark, and I think it's like that in World of Warcraft as well. Like, abilities have different tooltips depending on whether you're in PvP or PvE. And I think that would like make things so much easier for them, because like one thing is like pretty overpowered in PvE, but not necessarily in PvP, and vice versa. So yeah, I do think like hopefully they talked about that kind of, you know, they said like yeah, well, we've got resilient and we've got our ward perks and those are separate, but it's not quite the same thing as like having, you know, a stun be like a smaller duration, and you know, like you can make social distancing like only give you like a 10% movement speed buff and a 10% slow, and that would be like, okay, PvP it's good, but now in PvE it's just useless. You're not even going to use it in the first place, but it's like completely useless now in PvE. So yeah,
no, yeah, 100% I agree with that. I used to play a game also called Dragon Nest, and Dragon Nest had the same exact thing. Dragon Nest will say this ability will do X amount of damage in PvP. This ability will do X amount of damage in PvE, and the PvE number for some abilities was like significantly higher, like so much higher than in PvP, because in PvP, if it will do that damage, it will be ridiculously strong. And that is how they balance PvP and PvE, right? Some weapons were doing insane amount of damage in PvP for single target, but then the PvE ones, they will be like brought down a little bit, because then it will be too powerful. And I think honestly that is the best approach, especially in a game like New World, that if you touch an ability, it's both impacted in PvP and PvE, right? Like whenever they did the nerf to crosscut, that was a nerf aim for PvE, but it also greatly impacted the crosscut for PvP. So, and it also will be a lot easier for them to balance weapons, because if an ability is doing too much damage in PvE, well, then you just nerf the PvE aspect, like the damage, that modifier, and just leave it the way it is for PvP.
Yeah, for sure. I said if they want PvP to grow in the game, they'll need to be necessary. Yeah, I think like really long term, it's like something that they got to do for sure, to make it easier to like navigate how they like balance everything as well. Because even like, you know, maybe even like light, medium, and heavy, it could be debated, like the power level of those in PvP versus PvE. I think is also like a topic there. But honestly, Trick, I feel like we could talk about this for like another hour, man. And you know, we'll like cover some ground and fix some things, but you know, we've still got to see the actual changes, like yeah, like what the numbers are going to be and everything. Excited, it's going to be pretty excited. I'm sure we'll have another podcast after that one, man. But I think we should probably wrap it up here, unless there's anything you're like burning, you know, desire to cover. You think like, all right, we really need to address this though. Is there anything
before tents. They should tents. I hate that you cannot destroy tents.
Oh yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah, you should be able to. Yeah, because the people just respawn over and over again, and you know where they're gonna respawn and stuff. But it's like it makes that endless fight. Just it's true.
Exactly. Like if you kill a player, like it should not be like you throw a fireball and you destroy the tent, right? But tents should be a little bit more interactive, because yesterday, for example, I was doing the PvP tournament and everybody was there. Everybody was having a good time. You know, the circle tent was beautiful, and then this guy comes out of nowhere and he just wanted to ruin the fun for everybody, and he put a tent in the very center of the tournament arena. And I'm like, are you serious, dude? And then I had to stop the tournament, and we wasted like 30 minutes 40 minutes finding a new location for the tournament, because this freaking miserable guy ruined the fun for everybody, and there's nothing we can do about it. How can one level 6 player literally outplay over 200 people, you know, that were in the tournament? Like, how is that even possible, man?
Yeah, but
it's crazy, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be like one of the things where it's like, because if he was only PvE flagged and you destroyed his tent, that would be pretty rough. So I don't know like how exactly they fix that, because PvP, if you're PvP flagged, somebody else is PvP flagged, you should be able to destroy each other's tents. But yeah, PvE, I don't know, man. It's tricky, but I do agree.
If you're
that does sound pretty damn frustrating.
Tents should be destroyable regardless. I mean, you cannot put tents inside of a like what is it called?
Like the protected area, like the points of interest.
Points of interest, right? You cannot put a tent in the point of interest, and whenever you put a tent, you should be looking out to put the tent in a place that is not gonna get destroyed. I don't know if you ever played BDO. But BDO, if you left your horse in an area that could be killed, it would be killed. So whenever you play BDO and you will park your horse, you will look for an area that there was no mobs. Okay, there's no mobs. All right, let me get off of my horse, do my farming, and then I get back to my horse. So the tent placement should be something that you think about, and not, I'm going to put it here the closest I can possibly put it to the point of reference, and then I don't care about it. No, you should put a tent in a place that mobs don't. I mean, if the pylons focus tents, why cannot a mob, right?
Yeah, that's true. I guess so.
Yeah, man.
All right, man. Well, there we go.
But yeah.
Tents. Come on, Amazon. Deal with it, dude. Get rid of them.
Yeah, man. Why are tents so powerful?
Delete them from the game.
Yeah.
All right.
No, because then how are they going to make money selling
tent skins? Yeah, it's true. Those tent skins,
that's
dude.
Good.
20,000 freaking currency for one of them. My God, it's $20 for a tent skin. It's pretty crazy. I don't know. Have you bought a tent skin,
dude?
Trick? Yeah. No?
You're crazy?
Why would I buy it? I got one. It was the one that had a bath in it, but I'm like, man, they cost so much. It's crazy. All right, Mr. Trick.
Yes,
it was good to talking to you as always. I hope you guys all enjoyed episode 2. Episode 3 probably, like, I know it was a bit between episode 1 and episode 2. Hopefully episode 3 is gonna be coming pretty soon. Basically, we're waiting at this point to see the weapon changes and all the big balance, you know, and then we'll play that, and then I'm sure we'll have a talk about, you know, now that we 100%. See what Amazon's actual intents are. So, yeah, thanks for the chat, Trick. It was good talking, man.
Likewise.
If you guys are on YouTube, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe if you want to see more of these. Leave a comment and all that good stuff. Twitch chat, you guys just keep on being Twitch chat. And yeah, I'll catch you next time, Mr. Trick.
Next time, B.
Goodbye, dude.